Our video lesson is about proving trigonometric identities. And before we proceed with our examples, let's have the several strategies that we need to use in proving identities. Okay, let's have number 1, know the fundamental identities and look for ways to apply them. Okay, again, we need this one. We need the fundamental identities in proving identities. Ayan, kailangan natin to lahat. Okay. And next is, write all expressions in terms of sines and cosines. Lahat ng functions na hindi naka-sine ng cosine, yun ang ating imo-modify or babaguhin. But once na nakita mong sine and cosine na siya, i-remain mo lang siya. And number 3, if you choose to work with only one side of an identity, continuously refer back to the other side to see what you are trying to obtain. Like for example, in this kind of identity, we have the left hand of the equation and we have the right hand of the equation. If you decide to choose the left hand of the equation na i-modify mo, ibig sabihin ng number 3, kapag sinolve mo o minodify mo yung left hand side of the equation, dapat ang progress ng solution mo is papunta the same dapat sa ating right hand of the equation. Kailangan magiging kamukha nito. So, yun ang tatandaan. Okay, number 4, when one side contains only one trigonometric function, attempt to rewrite all the functions on the other side in terms of that function. For example, cotangent theta is equal to cosine theta, cosecant theta. In this kind of example, ang left hand of the equation natin is one function lang. Ibig sabihin, simple siya, ito ang babaguhin natin, yung right hand of the equation. According to number 4, kailangan daw, pag minodify mo ito, ang kalalabasan niya is palaging papunta dito. Actually, parang the same lang din naman sila ng number 3. Okay, number 5, use the Pythagorean identities to substitute for expressions equal to 1. If you will notice sa ating Pythagorean identities, ito yan, di ba? You will notice, lahat ng identities natin dito is merong squared, merong 1, and you will see you have addition, tapos meron tayong subtraction. Pag may nakita kayong ganyan, pwede kayong pumunta dito agad. Ayan, yun na yung pinaka-clue niya. In number 6, perform algebraic operations. Ito, importante ang number 6. Kasi, kailangan i-recall mo lahat ng natutunan mo sa math. You need to know how to factor. Kailangan marunong ka mag-simplify ng complex, rational expressions. You need to know how to find the LCD, paano mag-combine ng fractions, paano mag-combine ng like terms. Multiply both numerator and denominator by the same expressions to obtain an equivalent fraction. And last one, you need to replace a binomial with a monomial. So, pag alam mo to, ayan, dadalian ka in proving identities. Kaso nga lang, ma'am, paano kung wala pa rin pinatutunguhan yung proving ko? Balik ka ulit sa umpisa. Simulan mo ulit. Kung hindi nag-work, yung binago mo yung right hand of the equation, punta ka sa left hand mo. Kung hindi siya kung alin ang pinaka-complicated. Kung one function na lang siya, syempre hindi mo yun magagawa. Pero kung parehas naman silang pwedeng mabago, why not baguhin mo yung right and left? And then, mali mo, dun mo makuha. And try to figure out saan ka kaya nagkamali. Try lang ng try. At pag na-master mo naman ito, madali na siya. So, let's have an example. Prove which identity. For number 1, we have cotangent theta equals cosine theta, cosecant theta. In proving identities, kailangan mamili ka ano ang babaguhin mo or i-modify mo. Paano ka pipili kung alin ang i-modify mo? Piliin mo yung pinaka-complicated na given. Is it the right? Pwede ring left? Pipili ka. But actually, pwede namang i-modify mo yung right hand of the equation, or gusto mo yung left hand of the equation lang yung baguhin mo, or gusto mo sabay mo silang baguhin. Binago mo si right, binago mo si left, but make sure at the end, dapat mag-equal sila. And the improving identity, hindi siya same as solving an algebraic equation. Kasi, di ba, in algebraic equation, sometimes, you move an expression sa kabilang side ng equal sign natin, di ba? Which is, improving identity, bawal yon. Kasi, dapat, pag nagpo-prove ka, kung ano lang ang nasa right hand of the equation mo, yun lang ang minumodify mo. Kung ano lang ang nasa left hand of the equation mo, yun lang yung minumodify mo. Sinusolve mo sila independently. So, tandaan yan. Okay, in this case, ang gagawin ko is, hindi ko sila babaguhin ng sabay. Since ang right hand of the equation ang pinaka-complicated, yan yung imo-modify ko and i-remain ko lang si cotangent theta. So, solve natin. In this case, we have cosine theta. According to the rule, kapag cosine siya or sine na siya, remain mo na lang siya. So, ang gagawin natin is copy na lang natin, cosine theta. And cosecant theta, pag tinignan natin yan sa fundamental identities, that is, ito si cosecant theta, that is equal to 1 over sine theta. Palitan natin siya, times 1 over sine theta. And lagyan natin ang denominator ang cosine natin. And we all know that that is equal to 1. So, cosine theta times 1, we have cosine theta. Over 1 times sine theta, we have sine theta. And after that, alam natin na may makukuha na tayong value nito, di ba? And that is equal to this one. Ayan, cosine theta over sine theta. And that is equal to cotangent theta. So, pwede natin na itong palitan. That is cotangent theta. And if you will observe sa ating given, cotangent theta, parehas na sila. So, ayan. You have now proven the given. In number 2, we have 1 minus cosine squared theta all over cosine squared theta equals the square of the quotient of sine theta and cosine theta. In this case, ang gagawin ko, since ito ay, ang left hand of the equation natin ang pinaka-complicated, and ito kasi ay nasa cosine na siya, ito ang i-remain ko. In this case, ito ang i-modify ko, ito ang i-remain ko. So, let's solve. In our numerator, papansin mo, meron kong 1 and then you will observe my squared. Usually, makikita natin yan sa Pythagorean, di ba? So, tignan natin. May makukuha ba tayong 1 minus cosine squared theta? Ito yun. Ito yun, di ba? And that is equal to sine squared theta. So, i-replace natin ang ating numerator by sine squared theta. Sine squared theta. Over, since ito ay naka-cosine naman na siya, i-rewrite ko lang siya. Cosine squared theta, kukopyahin ko lang. Equals, you have sine theta over cosine theta squared. In this case, pag may ganito akong given, pwede ko na siyang maging ganito ang expression by simply removing the squared. Cosine theta, and then squared ko siya. Pares lang yan, di ba? And they are now equal. Sine theta over cosine theta. And then squared. They are now equal. Solve number 2 again. In this case, since ginawa natin kanina is binago natin yung left lang, and then remain natin yung right. This time, try natin baguhin ang left at saka right ng sabay. Kung mag-i-equal ba sila. Okay. Unahin natin ang right hand of the equation. Since magdi-distribute ka lang naman ng exponent. Solve. This one is, syempre, pag distribute mo siya, it becomes sine squared theta over, to then, dito rin yan, you have cosine squared theta. Yan, nabago na natin. So, let's proceed to the left side. This one, 1 minus cosine squared theta, alam natin that that is equal to sine squared theta. And then, since this is in cosine function, i-rewrite lang natin cosine squared theta. And if you will observe, they are now equal. Ganun lang siya. Number 3, we have this problem. Sa lang dalawa, ang left ang pinaka-complicated. And this one, pwede rin naman natin baguhin to. Or simply distribute the exponent para ma-solve natin. Try natin dalawa baguhin. In the left side, ang sine squared theta plus cosine squared theta, meron yung value sa ating fundamental identities. So, ito yan, and that is equal to 1. So, pwede nating baguhin ang ating numerator. It's equal to 1 over, since ito ay nasa cosine function na, kukopyahin lang natin siya. That is cosine squared theta is equal to, okay, modify din natin ito. That is, ayan, magiging 1 squared, and that is 1 times 1, that is equal to 1. And then, ito din, becomes cosine squared theta, and they are now equal. 4. Cosine alpha over 1 minus sine squared alpha equals 1 over cosine alpha. In this case, ang right side, ang i-remain ko, ang left side, ang i-modify ko. Okay, so start tayo. Since ang numerator natin ay nasa cosine function na, kakopy ko lang siya. So, that is cosine alpha over, we have 1 minus sine squared alpha. Tingnan natin sa ating fundamental identities kung may makikita tayo. 1 minus sine squared alpha. So, ito yan. And that is equal to cosine squared alpha. Cosine squared alpha is equal to 1 over cosine alpha. Tingnan natin kung pareha sila. And we have now cosine. Since pareha silang cosine, numerator and denominator, ibig sabihin may makakancel tayo. Itong 2, magiging 1 na lang siya, magiging cosine na lang, while our numerator becomes 1. So, ibig sabihin, becomes now 1 over cosine alpha is equal to 1 over cosine alpha. They are now equal. 5, we have 1 minus cosine squared theta all over sine theta is equal to sine theta. In this case, you will observe ang right hand ng equation natin is sine theta lang. So, ibig sabihin, ang gagalawin lang natin or babaguhin natin is the left hand of the equation, which is this one. So, start tayo. Our numerator is 1 minus cosine squared theta. Tignan muna natin sa ating fundamental identities kung may value siya. So, 1 minus, ito yan. So, meron. And that is sine squared theta. So, sabihin, pwede natin i-replace ang ating numerator by sine squared theta over, since our denominator is sine theta, copy lang natin. Is equal to sine theta. Ayan, parehas ulit. May sine sa numerator, may sine sa denominator. Ibig sabihin, pwedeng i-cancel. 2, yung squared natin, ibig sabihin, may matitira dyan na sine theta. And automatically, our denominator becomes 1. So, natira na lang is sine theta. So, they are now equal. 6, we have cosine theta, secant theta equals tangent theta, cotangent theta. In this case, babaguhin ko sila parehas to prove this one. Sige, start tayo. Cosine theta, ito, cosine naman na siya, so kakopy lang natin. So that is cosine theta times, let's replace secant theta. Ang secant theta natin, secant theta is equal to 1 over cosine theta. So, replace natin yan. We have 1 over cosine theta equals, ito din. Replace din natin. Ang tangent theta natin, tangent theta Tangent theta is equal to sine over cosine. We have sine theta over cosine theta times, ang cotangent natin, we have cosine theta over sine theta. Kasi diba, na lang sila, inverse. So, in this case, lagyan natin ng 1 ang cosine. Pwede tayong mag-cancel. Ito, tsaka ito, cancel na. So, ang natira na lang dyan is 1 equals. In this case, the sine theta to then cancel becomes 1. To then cancel becomes 1. Yan, naging 1 yan sila. So, the answer now is 1. They are now equal. Then, 2 second squared theta equals 1 over 1 minus sine theta plus 1 over 1 plus sine theta. This case, complicated ang right hand of the equation kaysa sa left hand. So, ibig sabihin, i-modify ko yung part na to and I will retain 2 second squared theta. Okay, start tayo. In this case, sa ating right side, ang denominator natin ay 1 minus sine theta, tsaka 1 plus sine theta. Wala tayong nakitang squared. So, ibig sabihin, hindi natin yan makukuha sa Pythagorean identity. And wala. So, iba ang gagawin natin. Since we have an operation addition, ang gagawin natin is add this one to this one. And, syempre, fraction siya. Ibig sabihin, tingnan mo yung denominator. Kung same sila, pwede ka na mag-add agad-agad. Pero kung different ang ating denominators, you need to find the LCD. Parang pares lang din pag nag-add ka or nagma-minus ng fraction. So, in this case, magkaibang denominator. So, hahanapin natin ang LCD. Ang ating denominator, hindi naman number. So, ang gagawin mo, kunin mo yung dalawang given na denominator, pag-multiply mo lang sila. So, gawin natin. So, equals, you have 1 minus sine theta. Pag-multiply lang natin yung dalawang denominator, 1 plus sine theta. And then, mag-solve tayo, parehas lang din ng pag nag-a-add ka ng dissimilar fractions. Okay, denominator divided by dito, 1 minus sine theta. In that case, makakancel mo si 1 minus sine theta. Ang matitira na lang is 1 plus sine theta. And the result will be multiplied to the numerator, so times 1. So, magiging sagot dyan is 1 plus sine theta. Ayan. Plus, denominator divided by 1 plus sine theta. So, makakancel si 1 plus theta, sine theta. Ang matitira na lang is 1 minus sine theta. And that will be multiplied to 1. So, yun pa rin ang matitira. 1 minus sine theta. Ayan na siya. And, pag ganyan, pwede na natin, actually, pwede wala naman ang grouping symbol. Burahin natin ang grouping symbol natin. Yan, wala na siya. Yan, binura natin. If you will observe, meron tayong plus sine theta and minus sine theta. So, ibig sabihin, it becomes 0. Cancel natin. Ayan, naging 0 na yan. And we have like terms, so 1 plus 1, that is equal to 2 over, and in denominator natin, ito times natin. And that is equal to 1 minus sine squared theta. Paano ko nakuha ang 1 minus sine squared theta? Pinag-multiply ko lang itong dalawa. Paano ko minultiply yan? So, ganito. So, 1 times 1, that is equal to 1. 1 times sine theta, that is equal to sine theta. So, magpa-plus sine theta ako. And, tapos na ako sa 1. Tapos na ako dito sa 1, dito na tayo. Negative sine theta times 1, that is equal to negative sine theta. Tatapat ko siya sa sine kasi ka-like term na to. And then, negative sine theta times sine theta, that is negative sine squared theta. So, minus sine squared theta. And then, let's proceed to addition. So, we have 1. Ito becomes 0 minus sine squared theta. Kaya, yun ang ating value dito. And, after that, so this one is 2 over, ang 1 minus sine squared theta, may squared tayo, may minus tayo, may 1 tayo. Pwede kayang makuha natin ang value niyan using the Pythagorean identities. Tingnan natin. And that is this one. That is equal to cosine squared theta. So, pwede natin siyang palitan as cosine squared theta. Ayan. And, pag ganito na ang ating expression, pwede ko yan i-convert into this one. Kasi we all know that pwede ko yan ito, giging 2 times 1 over cosine squared theta. Ang 1 over cosine squared theta, same lang yan as secant squared theta. So, palitan natin siya. Proceed tayo dito. That is equal to 2 times secant squared theta. And yun, secant squared theta, same na siya as this one. So, we prove that we have proven the problem. Number 8, we have sine theta over cosecant theta plus cosine theta over secant theta equals 1. So, in this case, we have the left hand of the equation is complicated, unlike in the right side. So, ito ang i-modify natin in this problem. So, start tayo. Since ito, ang sign natin, since sign naman na siya, simply copy lang natin. We have sine theta over yung ating cosecant theta, change natin yan into, ang cosecant theta natin is 1 over sine theta. Diba? Sa ating fundamental identities. Plus, cosine theta natin, simply copy. And then, change the secant theta into 1 over cosine theta. Tingnan sa ating fundamental identities yan. Equals 1. In this case, simplify tayo ng itong expression na to. So, we have now sine theta times, i-divide natin copy the numerator and then proceed to multiplication and get the reciprocal of your denominator. It becomes now sine theta over 1. So, sine theta na lang siya. Plus, dito naman tayo, that is cosine theta times, get the reciprocal of your denominator, which is cosine theta, is equal to 1. So, this time, let's multiply sine times sine, that is sine squared theta, plus cosine times cosine, that is cosine squared theta, is equal to 1. Okay, we have an expression na ganyan. Meron tayo niyan sa ating fundamental identities, and that is equal to 1. Ayan. In the Pythagorean, sine squared theta plus cosine squared theta is equal to 1. So, pwede natin palitan ang ating given as 1. So, they are now equal.